Welcome, dear seekers of the eerie and the unexplained, to Whispers in the Dark, your sanctuary for all things haunting and mysterious. In a world where the mundane often overshadows the mystical, we stand as torchbearers illuminating the path to the unknown, delving deep into realms where reality blurs with nightmare. Here, amidst the flickering glow of our screens and the hum of restless curiosity, we invite you to step beyond the veil of the ordinary and explore the chilling depths of West Virginia's most haunted places. Tonight marks the premiere of our spine-tingling series, Most Haunted Places in West Virginia. Over the course of this journey, we will traverse through time and space, uncovering the dark secrets and spectral whispers that linger within the Mountain State's historic sites. From abandoned asylums to ghost-ridden forests, each location is steeped in history and shrouded in tales too unsettling to be forgotten. These are not mere urban legends whispered in hushed tones or folklore spun to entertain. No, these are documented encounters, real people, real places, and real horrors that have left indelible marks on those who dared to witness them. As storytellers, our mission is clear: to peel back the layers of fear and fascination, crafting an atmosphere thick with suspense and intrigue. We aim not only to recount these tales but to immerse you in their chilling depths, making every creak of the floorboards and whisper in the dark feel as though it's happening right beside you. With every word, we strive to evoke the same visceral reactions felt by those who lived through these harrowing events, those fleeting moments when the impossible becomes undeniable. So, dear viewers and listeners, prepare yourselves for a journey into the abyss. Here, in the dim glow of your screens, we invite you to open your minds, and perhaps brace your hearts, as we reveal the terrifying truths hidden within the folds of reality. Welcome to a world where the past whispers, the present trembles, and the future remains shrouded in mystery. Let's step into the darkness together, where every shadow might just conceal more than anyone bargained for. In this inaugural episode, we will uncover the haunted tapestry of West Virginia's storied past. Each tale is a thread woven into the fabric of local lore, echoing through the ages and beckoning us to listen closely. Join us as we embark on this chilling odyssey, exploring the eerie corridors of haunted locations that continue to captivate and terrify. Stay tuned, for the shadows hold many secrets, and the night is young. The haunting echoes of Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, nestled deep within the rolling hills of Weston, West Virginia, stands one of the most infamous haunted landmarks in the United States, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. Originally constructed in 1858 under the name Weston Hospital, this sprawling Gothic structure was designed to house and treat individuals deemed mentally unstable. However, as time wore on, the asylum became a grim epicenter of suffering and despair, earning its place in history as one of the most haunted locations in the nation. The asylum's architecture alone is enough to send shivers down the spine. Its towering stone walls and barred windows exude an oppressive aura, while its labyrinthine corridors seem to stretch endlessly, swallowing light and sound alike. For over a century, the facility operated as a psychiatric institution, housing thousands of patients at its peak. Yet, behind its imposing facade lay a dark legacy of overcrowding, neglect, and abuse. Patients were subjected to experimental treatments, including lobotomies and electroshock therapy, often without consent. Many never left the asylum alive, their lives extinguished by illness, violence, or sheer neglect. By the time it closed its doors in 1994, the asylum had become synonymous with tragedy. Its halls echoed with the cries of tormented souls, and its rooms bore witness to countless untimely deaths. It is said that the spirits of those who suffered within its walls refused to leave, lingering as restless apparitions trapped between worlds. Today, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum stands as a chilling monument to the horrors of the past, a magnet for paranormal investigators, thrill seekers, and those brave enough to confront the supernatural. One such group of explorers ventured into the asylum on a cold October night, armed with flashlights, EMF detectors, and a single handheld camera. Their goal was simple: to document the ruins and capture evidence of the paranormal activity that had long been rumored to plague the site. What they encountered, however, would haunt them forever. The footage begins innocently enough, with shaky camera angles panning across peeling wallpaper, rusted bed frames, and shattered windows. Laughter echoes faintly as the group jokes about the ghost stories surrounding the asylum. But as they descend deeper into its bowels, the atmosphere shifts palpably. The air grows colder, their breath visible in the dim light, and the laughter falters. At the 15-minute mark, the first anomaly appears. A faint, distorted voice whispers from the shadows, audible only when the audio is played back. None of the group seems to hear it in real time, yet the camera captures it with eerie clarity. Minutes later, the group enters what was once the electroshock therapy room. The camera lingers on a rusted machine, its dials and levers frozen in place like the hands of a clock stopped mid-tick. Suddenly, the lights on the device flicker, casting erratic shadows across the walls. One of the friends, visibly unnerved, mutters, "Did someone touch that?" before stepping back. No one had. The camera shakes violently as the group scrambles to leave the room, their panicked breathing filling the audio track. The climax occurs in the asylum's chapel, a cavernous space littered with broken pews and a crumbling altar. Here, the camera captures something truly inexplicable, a translucent figure standing at the far end of the room, its form flickering like static on an old television. The figure raises an arm, pointing directly at the group before vanishing in an instant. The friends freeze, their faces pale with terror, before bolting toward the exit. The final moments of the video show them fleeing into the night, their screams echoing into the void. This chilling encounter, preserved in grainy footage, has since been analyzed by paranormal investigators and skeptics alike. Some argue that the anomalies could be explained by environmental factors, electromagnetic interference, or psychological suggestion, but others insist that the evidence points to something far more sinister. Whatever the truth may be, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum incident remains one of the most compelling examples of the supernatural caught on camera, a stark reminder that some doors, once opened, can never truly be closed. Today, the asylum operates as a tourist attraction, hosting guided tours and paranormal investigations year-round. Visitors report hearing disembodied voices, seeing shadowy figures dart through the halls, and feeling an overwhelming sense of dread. Some claim to have been touched or pushed by unseen hands, while others describe being followed by cold spots that seem to move with intent. The stories vary, but the underlying message is clear: the spirits of the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum are far from at rest. For those who dare to step inside, the asylum offers a glimpse into a world where the past refuses to fade. It is a place where history and horror intertwine, where the echoes of suffering reverberate through time, and where the line between the living and the dead blurs into uncertainty. Whether you believe in ghosts or dismiss them as figments of the imagination, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum stands as a testament to the enduring power of fear, and the mysteries that lie just beyond the reach of human understanding. The phantom hitchhiker of Route 60. Deep in the heart of rural West Virginia lies Route 60, a desolate stretch of road notorious not only for its winding paths and sparse lighting but also for the spectral figure that reportedly haunts its lonely stretches. This tale begins with Sarah Thompson, a seasoned truck driver whose nocturnal journeys often took her through this eerie landscape. Known for her meticulous record-keeping and a dash cam that never slept, Sarah's routine drive one fateful November evening turned into an ordeal she would never forget. As Sarah recounted in her viral YouTube testimony, the initial signs of the haunting came subtly. Around midnight, her dashcam captured a fleeting shadow darting across the road ahead. Initially dismissing it as a trick of the light against the dense fog, Sarah continued her journey. Minutes later, the radio, which had been playing a soft jazz station, began to emit static interspersed with faint, indistinct whispers. Disturbed yet determined, Sarah adjusted the frequency, only for the whispers to grow louder, almost pleading. The true confrontation occurred approximately 20 miles down the road. The dashcam footage shows a figure, clad in tattered clothing reminiscent of early 20th century attire, standing motionless at the roadside. Its face, obscured by the brim of an old hat, was tilted slightly towards Sarah's approaching vehicle. Despite her honking and flashing lights, the figure remained stationary until the last moment when it suddenly raised a hand in a gesture that was both a wave and a warning. Compelled by a mix of fear and curiosity, Sarah slowed down, eventually stopping a few feet away from the figure. In a decision she described as not entirely her own, she rolled down her window and called out, asking if the person needed help. The response, or lack thereof, was chilling. The figure simply stood there, its head now fully bowed. Sarah's dashcam recorded every second of the interaction, capturing not only the visual disappearance but also an abrupt silence that followed, contrasting sharply with the previous cacophony of whispers and static. When she reviewed the footage later, Sarah noticed something that sent chills down her spine, a reflection in her rearview mirror showing the figure sitting silently in her passenger seat during the moments she had been addressing it outside. This incident sparked widespread interest and speculation. Paranormal experts who examined the footage suggested that the entity might be a residual spirit, trapped in a loop of its final moments. Others hypothesized that it could be a malevolent presence, using illusions to lure unsuspecting travelers off the road. Regardless of the interpretation, Sarah's encounter with the phantom hitchhiker of Route 60 stands as a stark reminder of the thin veil between our world and the unknown. Her story, supported by undeniable footage, continues to captivate audiences, serving as both a chilling narrative and a cautionary tale for those who dare to travel the lonely roads after dark. It underscores the reality that sometimes, the most horrifying moments are not those we imagine, but those that are undeniably caught on camera, challenging our very perceptions of reality and the supernatural. The cursed cabin of Cheat Lake, nestled along the serene shores of Cheat Lake, just outside Morgantown, West Virginia, lies a secluded cabin that has earned a reputation as one of the most haunted dwellings in the state. Known locally as the Hollow, the cabin's origins are shrouded in mystery, with records suggesting it was built in the late 19th century by a reclusive woodsman named Ezekiel Halloway. According to legend, Ezekiel was a deeply superstitious man who dabbled in occult practices, using the cabin as a sanctuary for rituals aimed at communing with the spirit world. His experiments allegedly attracted malevolent forces, and upon his death, the cabin became a focal point for paranormal activity. The cabin's cursed reputation gained widespread attention in the 1970s, when a family rented the property for a summer getaway. What began as an idyllic retreat quickly devolved into a nightmare. Within days of moving in, the family reported strange occurrences, objects moving on their own, disembodied footsteps echoing through the halls, and an oppressive atmosphere that made sleep nearly impossible. The youngest child, a boy named Ethan, claimed to see shadowy figures lurking in the corners of the cabin, their glowing eyes watching him intently. His parents dismissed his claims as the product of an overactive imagination, but the disturbances escalated. One particularly harrowing night, the family gathered in the living room to watch a movie. Their nanny cam, positioned to monitor the children's playroom, captured something that would change their lives forever. The timestamp on the footage read 9:47 p.m. The camera angle was fixed, offering a wide view of the brightly lit room. Toys sat untouched, the air was still, and the faint hum of the heating system provided the only sound. Then, without warning, the door creaked open, though no one was near it. A shadow, tall and humanoid in shape, slipped into the frame. It moved with deliberate slowness, its form shifting unnaturally as though it were made of smoke rather than flesh. The shadow paused by the toy chest, extended an arm-like appendage, and then vanished as abruptly as it had appeared. When the family reviewed the footage the following morning, disbelief quickly gave way to dread. The shadow was unlike anything they had ever seen, its movements too fluid and purposeful to be explained away as a trick of light or shadow. Panic set in as they realized the entity had entered their home while they were mere feet away, oblivious to its presence. Over the next few weeks, the shadow grew bolder. It began appearing in multiple rooms, always captured by the cameras but never witnessed directly by the family. The nursery camera once recorded it standing over Ethan's crib, its featureless head tilted downward as though studying the sleeping child. Another clip showed it lingering in the kitchen, its form elongating unnaturally as it stretched toward the refrigerator before dissipating. Each appearance left the family more shaken, their sense of safety eroding with every passing day. Desperate for answers, the father reached out to a local paranormal investigator, Dr. Laura Bennett, whose expertise lay in analyzing unexplained phenomena. Dr. Bennett arrived at the cabin armed with EMF detectors, thermal imaging cameras, and a healthy dose of skepticism. After setting up her equipment, she conducted a thorough sweep of the property. The results were inconclusive at first, but during a nighttime vigil, her thermal camera captured something extraordinary. The footage showed a heat signature moving through the hallway, its shape unmistakably humanoid. Unlike the shadowy figure from the nanny cam, this entity emitted a cold aura, registering well below ambient temperature on the thermal scale. It paused outside Ethan's bedroom door, lingered for several seconds, and then disappeared. Dr. Bennett noted that the entity seemed to avoid direct contact with the family, instead observing them from a distance. She theorized that it might be an intelligent spirit, bound to the cabin for reasons unknown. Despite Dr. Bennett's efforts, the shadow's appearances continued. The family tried everything to rid themselves of the intruder, smudging the cabin with sage, rearranging furniture to disrupt energy flows, and even consulting a medium. Nothing worked. The shadow remained a constant, silent presence, its motives as inscrutable as its origin. Eventually, the strain became unbearable. The mother began experiencing vivid nightmares, waking up in tears with no memory of what she had dreamed. Ethan refused to sleep alone, claiming that the man in the dark was watching him. Even the father, who had initially dismissed the phenomenon as stress-induced paranoia, found himself unable to shake the feeling that something malevolent was sharing their home. The breaking point came one stormy night. The power went out, plunging the cabin into darkness. As the family huddled together in the living room, the baby monitor crackled to life. On the small screen, the shadow loomed large, its form pulsating as though alive. It reached toward the camera, its movements jerky and aggressive. Then, the screen went black. Terrified, the family fled the cabin that night, leaving behind everything except their most essential belongings. They rented a temporary apartment and placed the property on the market, hoping to sever ties with the entity once and for all. The cabin sold quickly, but the new owners reported similar disturbances within weeks of moving in. Today, the family refuses to speak publicly about their ordeal, fearing ridicule or worse. However, the nanny cam footage remains, a chilling testament to the shadow that walked alone. Experts who have studied the recordings remain divided. Some believe the entity is a residual haunting, a fragment of energy trapped in time. Others argue it is an intelligent spirit, possibly malevolent, drawn to the emotional turmoil of the family. Whatever the truth, one thing is certain: the shadow at the Cheat Lake cabin is a reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved. The whispering woods of Moundsville, nestled deep within the Appalachian Mountains, lies a sprawling expanse of wilderness known locally as the Whispering Woods. Spanning thousands of acres of dense forest, jagged cliffs, and winding trails, the area has long been a haven for hikers, nature enthusiasts, and adventurers seeking solitude. Yet beneath its serene exterior lies a dark secret, one whispered about in hushed tones by locals and dismissed by outsiders as mere superstition. But for those who dare to venture too far into its depths, the woods reveal a side that defies logic and sanity. The story begins with Ethan Cole, a seasoned backpacker and amateur videographer who prided himself on exploring the most remote and untouched corners of the natural world. Ethan had heard the legends surrounding the Whispering Woods, tales of hikers vanishing without a trace, strange noises echoing through the trees, and an overwhelming sense of dread that enveloped anyone who lingered too long. Skeptical but intrigued, Ethan decided to document his journey through the woods, hoping to either debunk the myths or uncover something extraordinary. Equipped with a GoPro strapped to his chest, a GPS tracker, and a sturdy hiking pack, Ethan set out on a crisp autumn morning. The early footage captures the beauty of the forest in vivid detail: golden leaves carpeting the ground, sunlight filtering through the canopy, and the gentle rustle of the wind. Ethan narrates his progress with enthusiasm, his voice steady and confident as he describes the terrain and shares tidbits of local lore. "They call it the Whispering Woods because of the sound the wind makes as it moves through the trees," he explains. "But I've got a feeling there's more to it than that." For the first few hours, Ethan's trek proceeds without incident. He stops periodically to film landmarks: a cascading stream, a moss-covered rock formation, and a clearing bathed in sunlight. However, as he ventures deeper into the woods, subtle changes begin to occur. The temperature drops noticeably, despite the bright sun overhead. The chirping of birds fades into silence, replaced by an eerie stillness that feels unnatural. And then there are the whispers. At first, they are faint, barely audible murmurs carried on the breeze. Ethan pauses, tilting his head as if trying to discern their source. "Probably just the wind," he mutters, though his tone betrays a hint of unease. But as he continues walking, the whispers grow louder and more distinct. They seem to come from all directions, overlapping and unintelligible, yet undeniably human in origin. Ethan's camera captures his growing discomfort. His steps quicken, and his narration becomes sporadic, punctuated by nervous laughter. By late afternoon, the whispers have evolved into a cacophony, drowning out all other sounds. Ethan's GPS device begins malfunctioning, its signal flickering erratically before dying altogether. Panic sets in as he realizes he is lost, the familiar trail markers nowhere to be found. The camera footage becomes increasingly disorienting, the frame jostling as Ethan stumbles through the underbrush. His breathing grows labored, and his voice cracks as he pleads for the whispers to stop. "What do you want from me?" he shouts into the void, his words swallowed by the relentless din. The climax of Ethan's ordeal occurs as daylight begins to wane. The camera captures a narrow path leading to a cluster of ancient, gnarled trees whose branches twist skyward like skeletal fingers. In the center of the clearing stands a crude stone altar, its surface stained with what appears to be dried blood. Surrounding it are dozens of weathered carvings, symbols and runes that defy translation. Ethan hesitates, his body trembling as he approaches the altar. The whispers crescendo into a deafening roar, and the camera shakes violently as Ethan collapses to his knees. "I see them," he gasps, his voice barely audible over the noise. "They're everywhere." The final seconds of the footage show Ethan staring directly into the lens, his eyes wide with terror. Behind him, shadowy figures emerge from the trees, their forms indistinct but undeniably humanoid. The screen cuts to black as the camera falls to the ground. Ethan's disappearance sparked a massive search effort, but no trace of him was ever found. The recovered footage, uploaded posthumously by his family, has since become a subject of intense scrutiny. Experts who analyze the symbols carved into the altar suggest they may belong to an obscure pagan cult that once inhabited the region. Others propose that the woods themselves harbor a malevolent force, feeding on the fear and confusion of those who enter. Regardless of the explanation, the Whispering Woods remain a place of mystery and dread. Hikers who stray too far from marked trails report hearing the same whispers that plagued Ethan, while others claim to have seen shadowy figures lurking among the trees. The forest, it seems, does not relinquish its secrets easily, and those who dare to uncover them may find themselves paying the ultimate price. The Midnight Train, a journey beyond the living in the heart of Charleston, where the city's skyline pierces the heavens and the streets buzz with ceaseless activity, lies a tale that has woven itself into the fabric of urban legend, the story of the Midnight Train. This spectral locomotive, shrouded in mystery and whispered about in hushed tones, is said to traverse the abandoned railways that snake through the city's underbelly, carrying with it the echoes of a tragic past. The legend speaks of a train that appears only at the stroke of midnight, gliding silently along tracks long forsaken by modern transit. Its origins trace back to the early 20th century, a time when railroads were the lifelines of commerce and communication. On a fateful night in 1923, a passenger train derailed under mysterious circumstances, claiming the lives of all aboard. Since then, sightings of a ghostly train matching the description of the ill-fated locomotive have been reported by night workers, homeless individuals, and curious thrill-seekers drawn to the allure of the unknown. One such seeker was Marcus Lee, a freelance journalist with a penchant for the paranormal. Marcus had spent months researching urban legends across the Midwest, but none intrigued him as much as the Midnight Train. Determined to separate fact from fiction, he decided to stake out one of the rumored routes, a stretch of rusted rails hidden beneath the city's elevated highways. Armed with a high-definition camera, a flashlight, and a thermos of coffee, Marcus settled into his makeshift observation post, a crumbling platform that once served bustling commuters. As the clock struck 12, the air grew heavy, and an unnatural silence fell over the area. Moments later, a distant rumble echoed through the tunnels, growing louder with each passing second. From the darkness emerged the train, its headlights dim and flickering, casting eerie shadows along the walls. The locomotive was a relic of another era, its paint peeling and windows clouded with grime. Yet, it moved with an uncanny smoothness, as if guided by an unseen hand. Marcus's camera captured every detail as he cautiously approached the train. The doors creaked open, revealing interiors bathed in a sickly green hue. Rows of passengers sat motionless, their faces pale and expressionless, staring blankly ahead. Despite the chill in the air, Marcus felt beads of sweat forming on his brow. Summoning his courage, he stepped aboard, the camera trembling in his grip. Inside, the atmosphere was suffocating. The air smelled of damp earth and something metallic, akin to blood. The whispers began softly, almost imperceptible, but soon swelled into a chorus of anguished voices. Marcus recognized fragments of phrases, pleas for help, cries of despair, all spoken in languages he couldn't understand. The camera footage shows him backing away, his breath coming in shallow gasps, as the train began to move without warning. The journey lasted only minutes, but to Marcus, it felt like an eternity. The train sped through tunnels that seemed to stretch infinitely, the walls adorned with cryptic symbols that pulsed with faint light. At one point, the camera captures a fleeting glimpse of the conductor, a gaunt figure cloaked in shadows, his eyes glowing with an otherworldly intensity. Marcus's narration becomes frantic, his voice breaking as he describes the sensation of being pulled toward the front of the train, as though an invisible force sought to claim him. The ordeal ends abruptly as the train screeches to a halt. The doors slam shut, and Marcus finds himself back on the platform, alone and disoriented. The footage cuts to black as he collapses, the camera falling from his grasp. When he regained consciousness hours later, the train was gone, leaving behind only the faint scent of smoke and the lingering echo of its horn. As we draw this chilling journey to a close, let us pause to reflect on the profound implications of the stories we've explored. These harrowing encounters, etched into the annals of recorded history through grainy footage, distorted audio, and fragmented memories, are more than mere curiosities. They are stark reminders that the boundaries of our understanding are far more permeable than we dare to admit. The supernatural, whether it manifests as ghostly apparitions, shadowy figures, or malevolent forces, challenges the very foundations of what we consider reality. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that there are dimensions beyond our perception, realms where the rules of logic and physics dissolve into the unknowable. These documented events serve as undeniable proof that the unseen is not merely a figment of imagination or a product of overactive minds. They compel us to reevaluate our relationship with the spaces we inhabit, the tools we use, and even the technology we rely on. Consider the cameras that capture these phenomena, devices designed to record the tangible, yet they have inadvertently become portals to the intangible. The footage from Blackwood Asylum, Route 47, Alcacabe Apartments, and The Shadow at 1428 Maple Street does more than document the supernatural. It invites us to question the limitations of human perception. Are these anomalies glitches in our reality, or are they deliberate attempts by otherworldly entities to bridge the gap between their world and ours? Yet, the implications of these encounters extend far beyond the individual stories themselves. Collectively, they paint a picture of a universe teeming with mysteries that defy explanation. Each incident, whether rooted in sorrow, tragedy, or malevolence, suggests a connection between the living and the dead, the seen and the unseen. The whispers in the asylum, the phantom hitchhiker on the desolate road, the cursed lens of Hiroshi's camera, and the shadow that stalked the Carter family, all of these point to a shared truth, that the past is never truly gone, and the spirits of those who came before may linger, tethered to places, objects, or even emotions. So, as we leave the shadows behind, for now, we invite you to carry the torch of curiosity. Question the world around you. Listen closely to the stories of those who have faced the unknown. And remember, the next time you pick up a camera, switch on a recorder, or even walk down a dimly lit street, you might just capture something that defies explanation. Because in the end, the supernatural is not merely a subject of fascination, it is a call to wonder, to explore, and to embrace the infinite possibilities that lie just beyond the veil. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unseen. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and never stop questioning the shadows.